What's up, everybody? Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas here with a little bonus episode, a little pot at the palace after dark, if you will. It's I don't know, well after midnight as I record here back in Fayetteville after spending the day in Hot Springs, and no studio setup, no fancy graphics, nothing like that. Just me, my iPhone, the microphone here. Late night from the nursery. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not in the office, we're in the nursery because I'm honestly trying to not wake my sleeping baby and wife after I was gone all day. First day out of town since Wes was born. It was gut wrenching, to be honest with you. It's tough. Felt really good to walk back in the house and see him. Now, he was asleep, but it was still good nonetheless. And happy to report that he was a perfect gentleman for his mama while we were gone, and so was the Slim Man. So treats for them coming up, no doubt about it. But honestly, I just felt like I had to hop back on here, share some more hoops takes with you guys, but also I feel flat out bad. Andrew and I we had pits in our stomachs the entire drive back home from Hot Springs tonight because we were so excited about our live show at Blue Ember Smokehouse, and just super disappointed that it didn't work out the way that we wanted it to. Frustrating in ways. It was embarrassing, out of our control for sure, but that doesn't make us feel any better about it. So, for what it's worth, it wasn't an us issue. We were all set up and ready to go. So were they. But man, we just had some unforeseen network connectivity stuff going on, and some issues that popped up on them out of nowhere. And it put us in a pretty tough spot. But I appreciate Blue Ember, man. I mean, their hospitality was awesome. They swagged us out. They fed us. They did everything they could to help us with the troubleshooting out there. We had a guy who was climbing through the ductwork, checking on wires and the router connections and everything. It was just one of those perfect storms of suck that had us in a tough position. So, we were in a spot where we either had to try to hotspot it and go live, which we were getting just a really unstable connection there, or just record our show and upload it later, which is what we did. And even though that meant, sitting in McDonald's and using their free Wi-Fi and, getting the video uploaded and everything like that way later than we intended to, at least we knew we wouldn't have the stream crash or buffer real bad and going in and out, because I know that frustrates people. And we just knew that's kind of what we were going to be dealing with if we push forward there. So apologies for having to kind of cancel the stream. I hope everybody was able to check out the videos that we put out there, whether it was the practice clips, or excuse me, the scrimmage clips that we had. It was like a 45-minute reaction for me and Andrew. I know everybody was excited about the live, and so I apologize. But it's crazy, man. We've done 100 live on location shows. The only other time that I can remember that we ran into something like this was at Eskimo Joe's in Stillwater after that stupid football game that Arkansas choked away there, and it was just a nothing burger. We were all set up. We were there before. We were ready to roll, and when it was go time to go live, disaster. Just like a outage, nothing was working. They couldn't get it figured out. We couldn't get it figured out. So you just sometimes you gotta adapt and thrive in this world, right? But we would never go back there again. Now, we chose to go to Blue Ember over about 3 or 4 other places in Hot Springs that we had opportunities to. Let me tell you this: even after today, I would choose them again. Awesome people. In fact, we did choose them again. We are going to be at their Rogers location doing Inside Arkansas Live on Wednesday, and we're really looking forward to it. So make sure you check that out. Good people, good food over there. And of course, just, we'll talk basketball in a second, but apologies to everyone who was, waiting for us, expecting the live back home, who didn't get to see the scrimmage. I hate that. It's been eating at me all night. We take this seriously. It's our livelihood, and especially on a day where we were just overwhelmed by the amount of folks who stopped us to chat or to take pictures. Like, you want to take a picture of me? Sure. Folks who came out to Blue Ember, whether it was, in our control or not, there's just zero chance that I was going to be able to get home and go to sleep and leave it alone without coming on here, regardless of the hour of the night or whatever. So, like I said, I would encourage you to check out I think it was about 11, 12 minutes of highlights that we got. Really good stuff from the scrimmage, and the 45-minute reaction from me and Andrew there. I thought was some good stuff there too. So shout out to the folks who braved the concession stand line with us for about a half hour before the scrimmage. We had some good times, some good laughs there. Shout out to Miss Deanna for all the kind words and tagging us in the pic that we took on Instagram. Shout out to everybody who came over and said hi and introduced themselves and hung out at Blue Ember for a bit, as they could tell we were troubleshooting and trying to figure some things out over there. But man, we were excited to see everybody, and a big time shout out to the several tables worth of people there who stayed for the show, even though it was late and even though we weren't live on YouTube and everything, but hung out with us while we talked ball. And major shout out to Miss Tamara, who hung out until the very end, and she chatted with us for 20 minutes afterwards. She was firing off the Razorback basketball take. She was showing off her picture with Carter Knox. A lot of people are excited about this basketball team, and you guys are the best. You really make this fun to do. It's a very rewarding job, believe it or not. Even when you yell at us because you're mad about our takes or whatever, the support is really, really cool. So, okay, all that out of the way. Now, a few minutes of hoops for you, and then I'm going to call it a night. But, folks, Arkansas has a good basketball team, a really good basketball team. And I've been doing this for several years now, and events like Saturday, which shout out to them for actually scrimmaging. This wasn't like primetime at the Palace. They played 2 20-minute halves of competitive basketball. They were getting after it, and there were officials and the whole 9 yards. So we got more out of this than we have, frankly, anything that we've seen up to this point from this team. I've been doing this for a while, and usually I walk out of events like this thinking, well, if it clicks, this team could really be onto something, or a little sloppy, but man, the talent's there. They're gonna be really good. This group feels different to me than any way I felt the last several years. I'm just being honest with you guys about how I feel, and I'm bullish about it. It's interesting because Arkansas has had some really, really good teams during the time frame that I'm speaking about here, and we have no idea what the future holds for this particular Razorback team. But I just have a feeling that this group has the ingredients to be special. I really think that they could do something crazy. Your freshmen, they're different. Those dudes are built different. Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas are the exact type of young Calipari guards that used to give us fits, used to drive us crazy. We'd see them in our nightmares going up against Calipari's teams in the past, and they took it to the old heads on Saturday. It was impressive to see. Acuff, he looked like a lottery pick out there. He really did. This is exactly what I've been waiting to see from him. What are some of the things that we talked about on the pod at the Palace over the course of the last week? Yeah, he's doing some really good things. Yeah, I'm impressed with his poise. Boy, he looks the part. But I know there's another gear. I know there's another level. I know he can be more assertive as a scorer. And he did a lot of those things. Making threes, getting to the cup, really aggressive, attacking in transition. You can't do anything with him. He's so physical. Insanely high level of difficulty passes. The ability to pass guys open. He's like a wizard in pick and roll action, ball screen action. Very, very poised, never sped up, showed that aggressiveness and assertiveness. I love it. I love everything I saw from him. Malik Thomas, absolute dog. He just continues to do it. It's crazy that I spent the entire summer saying he's streaky. Yeah, he's very streaky. And I want to sit here right now and say, yeah, he's probably going to be pretty streaky for this team. He'll have, hot spells and cold spells. But he's been consistently awesome every time that we've been able to see him. And Sunday was no exception. He's a dog, man. Just a relentless competitor. No matter what the setting is, he just gets after it. He has zero conscience when it comes to his shot selection, and I love it. Just an absolute gunner out there. I love the heat checks in transition. I love the pull-ups. He was pissed that he wasn't in Cal's quote-unquote starting lineup group that he put out there, so he just essentially beat those guys by himself in the second half of that scrimmage. Really took it to him, and it was a team without a point guard, so he assumed the lead ball handler roles, and he was dominant out there. He looked great. We talk about these freshmen, and by the way, can you guys hear my dog snoring in the floor beside me? He's cracking me up, man. But Isaiah Sealy, he needs to be included. Is this a freshman big three? By ranking? No. By production? By what we've seen so far? How could you not include him in these conversations? He's fearless. He's so far ahead of where I thought that he would be. And you think about the cojones it takes when you are a true freshman, not guaranteed to be in the rotation on a John Calipari coach basketball team, and you're at an event like this, your very first scrimmage, you get a steal, and you could just go coast to coast, finish the layup, whatever. No, I'm windmill dunking it. That's swag. That's confidence. That's moving a little bit different. It takes big balls, man. And that's what I love about Sealy, because he's unfazed by anything out there. He's not overwhelmed. He doesn't look like he doesn't belong. He's good for it, and he's going to help this basketball team. Continue to be impressed with him. That what he did, got that steal, and I'm pretty sure we have it in our highlight clip that we put out. And the windmill dunk in the middle of a game like that. First of all, Carter Knox did that too a little bit later, but it reminded me of a red-white game a few years ago when JD Note got a steal and he like threw the self lob to himself and dunked it. And I remember asking him afterwards, like, you realize if you would have missed that, what Muss would have done, right? And he was like, yeah, but like it's a risk I'm willing to take. Like I've been around Muss for a couple years now. I know him. I understand it. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't know I could have made it. And in a way, I think Sealy probably felt the same way. But you haven't been around Cal for that long, brother. I just love it, man. It's some moxie to the kid. Um, yeah, I love the way DJ Wagner looks out there. And there's just a different energy to him this year. Matured, calming presence, a little bit more tenacious. He sees blood in the water when he sees those freshmen guard him. The only thing Darius Acuff didn't do on Sunday was keep DJ Wagner in front, but who does? And when he gets one of them pups on him, he is ducking his head and he's driving right through him and getting to the rim. The shot looks better. The motion is more fluid. The hitch is not as pronounced as it was. The rotation on it is better. Got to keep it. Like, you've had a certain habit or pattern for a long time, and now you got to have a new routine that's got to be consistent, but it looks better. Carter popped some more out there today. Was worried about that wrist. He had the wrist brace on, but he was making some threes towards the end. Monster dunks. He's a more physical, athletic version of himself. Billy is a guy who has been pretty quiet in some of these these events here. Hasn't really broken out just yet. Didn't get a lot of shots up today. Didn't get a lot of touches today. But I think you kind of know what you're gonna get with a Billy Richmond. Your front court, just the trio is just such a unique mix of skill sets. I'm so fascinated by this group. Like, they all rebound, great. Malik Ewan's a point forward. Trevin's coming off of ball screens and knocking down threes as a pick and roll handler. He did that today, which was, I haven't seen that from him before, so that was pretty impressive. Nick Pringle is just dunking literally everything that comes off of the rim. You have 8 guys on this basketball team, maybe 9, who can grab a rebound, and they don't have to get it to a guard. It doesn't have to be an outlet. They can lead the break and initiate offense. That's a unique trait to have. It really is. And, if I was to pick what I think would be Arkansas's best starting lineup, I think I would probably go with the same group that they've been using, that we've been talking about. DJ and Acuff and Carter and TB and Malik Ewan. At the same time, though, if I was to pick based off of who stood out the most in the times that we've been able to see him, how could you not have Malik Thomas in that group? And then Billy Richmond is your best defender. And what Nick Pringle did today, like if you have 4 other guys who are kind of hunting shots and maybe demand a certain amount of touches out there on the floor together, and you need a glue guy and a ball mover and a screener, a guy who's going to do the dirty work, is going to get all the putback dunks, who's going to be there for the lobs, is going to be there for the drop-offs and the dunker spot, why not Nick? So, I mean, you've got a lot of really good options there. I can't wait to see the combinations they use in actual game settings against Cincinnati and Memphis. They're going to score it more. This team is. They're going to score it more efficiently and more total than they did a season ago. There's zero doubt in my mind. I will guarantee you guys right now, bookmark it. This Arkansas team is going to shoot a higher percentage from 3. They are going to make more threes, and they're going to average more offensive rebounds per game this season. That's how you get that efficiency up where it needs to be a true contender. And those are kind of some of the things that have been lacking for them, because they're good at getting downhill and drawing FTAs and pretty good assist numbers, didn't turn it over a lot. But if you can't shoot and you don't get offensive rebounds, that's going to drag you down. But I think they're going to be better in all of those areas. How much will remain to be seen, but I'm telling you right now, you're going to see improvement in those areas. I like the actions that they're running. It's not floppy city, lots of ball screens, because they've got versatile bigs who can do so many different things off of them. You've got a trio of guards that are really, really thrive and high-level decision makers. DJ, Darius Acuff, Malik Thomas all look really, really good handling the pick and roll. You're going to have improved spacing out there on the floor because 7 of your 9 rotation players are, I think, legitimate threats from deep. Like, you have to respect them at the very least, and that's a big part of the equation here. So they've got some pieces defensively. I think your pick and roll defense is going to be vastly improved. You got to get the freshmen up to speed on rotations and some of the lingo there. You need to get Malik Ewan up to speed. Maybe another gear, another notch up in that motor. But man, DJ, Carter, Billy, Nick Pringle, TB, those guys are all locked in, and they're good defenders. They're impactful on that end of the floor. So, like Nick Pringle keeps saying that he feels like this team is ahead of schedule. I tend to agree. Like, I can't wait for the games to get here. I'll tell you this right now. Arkansas, there are not 28 teams in the country better than Arkansas. And I don't give a damn what KenPom has to say about it. I'm very surprised that KenPom had Arkansas at 29th in their initial rankings. And, well, actually, it's unsurprising because Arkansas is always the fade, right? Especially, early on with the computers. That's just been the way that it is. Although I just can't find a reason why that's the case this year compared to others. There's always been something I could point to when, like, if KenPom's low on them or whatever early, I can say, well, this is why. And I frankly, I just can't do it this time. I think it's egregious. I just do. And I understand it's not a human poll, like it's a computer algorithm. Well, what's always baked into your algorithm? I'm having a hard time understanding that. Um, it's just it's slightly more of a big deal to be lower at KenPom than it is, human polls or power rankings or early bracketology and everything like that. The reason being is because KenPom is a metric that's used. It's on the NCAA team sheet. It's used by the selection committee. Like, it's one of those metrics that we talk about all the time. So you want to be in a good spot there. And, like, yeah, you have to play the games. You have to play the schedule, and you're going to wind up where you're supposed to be. But I do think there's something to be said for having a good starting point and just being able to maintain it and back it up, or being faded and being low and then having to climb your way back up to a position to where you want to be. So it's all going to work itself out in the end. Like, they've got their preseason bias that it's really takes into account in their algorithm until like January, and then you really start to figure it out. At that point, I think KenPom is the gold standard. I think it's a great metric to use. Preseason, there's a lot of things that you have to do to get the kind of data points to place a value on these teams, and I just disagree with what they have right now. But I will be referencing KenPom this year, even though I joked about canceling my subscription on Twitter earlier today. But it's just surprising because it's a massive outlier, compared to, all the human polls have Arkansas significantly higher. Bart Torvik, which is kind of KenPom's, twin brother or whatever, has Arkansas significantly higher, has them at 16. So, I just think this is an objectively better roster with more continuity and better recent accomplishments, if you take those things into account, than teams like Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Mizzou, just at minimum in the SEC, who are ranked ahead of them in this KenPom thing. Baylor with a brand new roster, Ohio State, who didn't make the tournament and doesn't have as much returning, USC with Muss, like Wisconsin, like, pick Arkansas. You have them 5th in the SEC if you want to, based on your formulas there. Maybe they're 20th nationally or something in your model, and we're thinking, okay, I just don't see a path to how an algorithm could spit out what KenPom did. And that's where I'm at with it. And we'll see what it looks like. It's weird to me because they project Arkansas to be almost top 25 in offense and defensive efficiency. And that usually means you're a Final Four contender. And to essentially have them ranked higher in both offensive and defensive efficiency than you do overall, so I don't know, man. But sorry, I'm tired. I'm delirious, and so here I am ranting about KenPom at 1:00 in the morning or whatever it is. But somebody told me it's because Arkansas had a tough regular season, then they got hot last year. So you got to take into account the full body of work, and they have to go back to some of last year's data to give you a preseason ranking. What else you're going to do? But was Arkansas's regular season that much different than literally any of those SEC teams I just mentioned, who you finished like tied in the league standings with most of them, and you beat most of them head to head? And then you return more than all of them, and you have an objectively more talented incoming class, whether it's your McDonald's All-Americans or your transfer guys. So I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I mean, he's got them projected 19-12 overall and 9-9 in the league. If Arkansas finishes with that record or worse, Andrew Ellis will shave his head. I'll make the deal for you guys. I know you guys like to do that on Inside Arkansas Live in the chat. There's the deal. That's the bet right there. If that happens, I will shave him bald myself. The The AP poll, the AP Top 25, the first one preseason poll drops tomorrow or later today on Monday. And that's always interesting because it gives you an idea of, what the media who covers college basketball, like where they feel like you fall in the pecking order. And my projection for where the Hogs are going to land, I'm going to say 14th is where Arkansas lands in the top 25. Now, my personal poll, for what it's worth, I've got Arkansas 10th. Now, after seeing them today, I might be compelled to revisit that and maybe go a little bit higher. I think this is a really good team. I do. Now, they're not perfect. They got some things they got to work out and figure out. Got to stay healthy. Sure, I understand all that, but I have a hard time finding a whole bunch of teams in this country that I can look at and go, yeah, they're definitely better than Arkansas. But yeah, I've got them around 10th. I think that they're probably gonna be in the poll around 14 or so, and we'll see. A little bit higher than last year. I think they were 16th coming into the year last year, but I think they'll still be low enough to where the real ball knowers are kind of thinking, man, is Arkansas getting slighted a little bit? So be on the lookout for that. We'll react to that. Cal and DJ and TB will be at SEC Media Day on Tuesday. And we're not going out there. We've really enjoyed going out to SEC Media Day in the past. We used to get a lot of access. Like Muss would sit down and have lunch with us for an hour. And we could get him off the record. And we would get solo interviews with the players and stuff. They've trimmed the player interviews down this year. It's also DJ and TB who we've talked to a ton, and we're just not going to get that kind of access with Cal like we did Muss. So we'll be able to get most of all of that from just watching the broadcast and the media access that we have there. So not going, but I'm looking forward to it. We'll talk about it a lot, and we'll also have the preseason SEC standings and the preseason All SEC teams. Look out for the Pot at the Palace tomorrow. I'm going to kind of predict what I think Arkansas is going to fall and who they're going to have represented and everything like that. But we're getting closer and closer, folks. We're 11 days away from the Cincinnati scrimmage. It's going to be a lot of fun. But hey, once again, really appreciate everybody for the support. The people who came up to us and introduced them to that. It's just really cool. We appreciate that. If you ever think like, oh man, I listen to those guys or whatever, but I don't want to bother them. If you see us out there, no, please do. Like, it's very cool. It makes us feel good. It motivates us. Like the fact that, we had so many people, kind words, just say, hey, I listen to you every morning or appreciate what you guys do. Hearing that stuff is what motivated me when I got home tonight to be like, man, the Blue Ember thing wasn't what we wanted it to be. I need to hop on here and talk ball a little bit more. And so here we are. That's super motivating, man. So thank you guys, and just want everybody to know how much we appreciate them, and apologies for the stuff earlier today, but glad we were able to still get quite a bit of content out there, and looking forward to covering this team throughout the course of the season. And also, as we get out of here, during all the ruckus of what was going on throughout the day in Hot Springs, got word from my little brother that he has welcomed a son into this world, little baby boy, happy and healthy. So my man's got himself a cousin now, and so we're really excited about that and blessed. So happy for you, Roman. Love you, buddy, and love all you guys out there. And we will see you tomorrow. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas on the Pot at the Palace. You guys have a good rest of your evening.